Hello and welcome to the FIGS 2025 Annual Meeting of Stockholders. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Todd Maron, Chief Legal Officer and Secretary of FIGS. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending the FIGS 2025 Annual Meeting of Stockholders. My name is Todd Maron. I'm FIGS Chief Legal Officer and Secretary, and I'll be acting as Chair of today's meeting. Before we start, I'd like to recognize some people who are in attendance. Directors from our board are in attendance. In addition, we have in attendance from FIGS Sarah Oughtred, our Chief Financial Officer, and Danielle Warner, our General Counsel and Assistant Secretary. I'd also like to welcome Richard Leza of Broadridge Financial Services, who has been appointed as our Inspector of Election. In addition, Hilda Echevarria and Mimi Johnson of Ernst Young, our independent registered public accounting firm, are also present. The time is now 1:31 p.m. Pacific Time, and the 2025 Annual Meeting of Stockholders is officially called to order. First, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. We're conducting this annual meeting virtually. We've adopted this virtual meeting format to enable increased stockholder attendance and participation, as our stockholders can participate from any location around the world. Next, you can find a copy of today's agenda and the rules of conduct for this meeting by clicking the links under the heading Meeting Materials in the meeting portal. Stockholders logged into the meeting with their 16-digit control numbers can also find the stockholders list at the bottom of the page. Third, during the formal part of today's meeting, we're going to cover the 3 items that stockholders have been asked to vote on, which are included in the agenda and further described in our proxy statement. Following the formal part of the meeting, to the extent there are questions from our stockholders, we'll answer them as time permits and consistent with our rules of conduct. In order to vote or submit questions during the meeting, you must have accessed this meeting as a stockholder with the control number that you received with your proxy materials. Those stockholders who have not voted or who have previously voted by proxy and wish to change their vote may do so by clicking on the Vote Here button under the heading Cast Your Vote. If any stockholder already sent us their proxy and does not wish to change their vote, no further action needs to be taken today. Lastly, please be aware that remarks made today that do not concern past events are forward-looking statements. Forward-looking statements are subject to risks and uncertainties as described in our periodic reports filed with the SEC, and actual results could differ materially. In addition, these forward-looking statements represent the company's expectations only as of today, and we undertake no obligation to update them. Now, to the formal part of the meeting. Broadridge Financial Services, our proxy service provider, has delivered an affidavit of distribution certifying that the notice of the meeting and the notice of the availability of proxy materials were sent beginning on April 24, 2025, to all stockholders of record as of the record date, which was April 9, 2025. And this affidavit will be filed with the minutes of this meeting. Our meeting notice and notice of availability of proxy materials have been properly sent. The Inspector of Election has also signed the oath of office to execute his duties with strict impartiality, and that oath will also be filed with the minutes of this meeting. In addition, a complete list of the stockholders as of the record date has been available for inspection for at least 10 days and will remain available for inspection for the entire meeting. The Inspector of Election has informed me that a sufficient number of shares to constitute a quorum is present or represented by proxy. As a result, this meeting is now duly and lawfully convened for purposes of transacting business. It is 1:34 p.m. Pacific Time, and the polls for the 3 proposals are now open. As a reminder, if you previously voted by proxy, you do not need to vote today unless you wish to change your vote. As your votes are being received, I will review the 3 items of business for consideration at this meeting. The first matter for vote today is the election of 3 Class 1 directors, Catherine Spear, Sheila Antrim, and Mario Marte, to serve as Class 1 directors until the 2028 Annual Meeting of Stockholders and until their respective successors are duly elected and qualified. The second matter to be voted on today is the ratification of the appointment of Ernst Young as FIGS' independent registered public accounting firm for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2025. The third matter is the approval of the following resolution. Resolved that the stockholders of FIGS Inc. approve on an advisory, non-binding basis the compensation of FIGS Inc.'s named executive officers as disclosed pursuant to Item 402 of Regulation S-K, including in the compensation discussion and analysis, compensation tables, and related narrative disclosure set forth in FIGS Inc.'s definitive proxy statement for the 2025 annual meeting of stockholders. FIGS Board has recommended that our stockholders vote for each of the director nominees, for the ratification of the appointment of our independent accounting firm, and for the resolution to approve on an advisory, non-binding basis the compensation of our named executive officers. No other nominations or matters have been brought before the meeting in accordance with the company's bylaws. At this time, we will pause for a moment to allow any stockholder who wishes to vote to please conclude their voting through the virtual meeting website. Okay. It is now 1:36 p.m. Pacific Time, and the polls are now closed. Based on preliminary results, the Inspector of Election has informed us that each of the nominees for director has been elected, the proposal to ratify the appointment of Ernst Young as the company's independent registered public accounting firm for 2025 has been ratified, and the compensation of our named executive officers has been approved. The final vote will be included on a Form 8-K that will be filed with the SEC within 4 business days from the date of this meeting. This concludes the formal business of this meeting, and the meeting is now adjourned. To the extent there are any questions, we will now answer them. I'm just checking our system, and there are no questions. So on behalf of the Board of Directors and FIGS Management, I would like to thank you for your continued support and for joining us today. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks very much.